Not all clutter looks like clutter at first. Some of it sits in your shopping bag, brand new, still shiny, and full of promise. It enters your home with the best of intentions. To fix something, to prepare for something, to make life easier. But weeks later, it's untouched. Stuffed in a drawer, stacked on a shelf, or buried in a bin marked someday. And that's when it hits you. The clutter didn't come from what you couldn't let go of. It came from what you never should have bought in the first place. Before you spend another dollar on something that might solve a problem you don't even have. Let's talk about the 10 things that quietly create the most chaos. Because sometimes, avoiding clutter has nothing to do with letting go. And everything to do with what we allow in. Have you ever bought something that became instant clutter? Tell us in the comments, we've all been there. Meet Glenice Farrow. She's a professional organizer with nearly a decade of experience helping older adults reshape their homes and their lives after 60. Based in Savannah, Georgia, Glennice didn't build her career on Pinterest-perfect pantries or color-coordinated closets. She built it on something far more practical, teaching seniors how to stop buying clutter before it enters the home. Because while most people think of organizers as the ones who come in after the mess, Glennice works differently. She believes that real organization starts with what you don't bring home in the first place. She's walked through hundreds of homes that were tidy on the surface, but overflowing behind cabinet doors, under beds, and inside labeled containers. And time after time, she saw the same thing. Most of the clutter wasn't old. It was recent. Thoughtful purchases, smart deals, helpful products, that slowly became stress. What Glennice noticed, and what most people miss, is that clutter doesn't always look like a pile of junk. Sometimes, it looks like an unopened gadget, a brand new storage ottoman, or a multi-pack of supplies bought just in case. These aren't mistakes. They are habits. Habits that form quietly and weigh down our homes before we even notice. That's why Glennice created a personal rule for herself, and for every client she works with: if it doesn't truly serve your life right now, it's not coming through the door. Not because it's bad, but because it might take up more space than it's worth, in your room, in your routine, and in your mind. In this video, you'll hear the 10 specific things Glennice no longer buys. These aren't just opinions. They're lessons from years of walking beside seniors who felt overwhelmed, overstuffed, and unsure of how it all piled up. Glennice's list might surprise you. But if you've ever felt like your home is full, and still missing peace, this might be the place to start. Item 1. Storage bins for later. There's something oddly comforting about a stack of plastic storage bins. They feel clean, intentional, like you're doing something productive. And for many seniors, especially those trying to take back control of their homes, bins offer a simple promise. Put it in here, and you'll deal with it later. But Glennice has learned, after organizing homes across the United States for more than a decade, that later almost never comes. Instead of solving a problem, most storage bins quietly protect it. They don't simplify your life. They delay the truth. Especially after 60, Glennice sees a dangerous pattern emerge. People don't want to part with an item, but they don't want it out in the open either. So they tuck it into a bin. Label it seasonal, extras, or miscellaneous. And slide it onto a garage shelf, or under the guest bed, or into the hallway closet that hasn't been touched in years. What starts as a temporary fix turns into permanent clutter. She calls it emotional stalling disguised as organization. And here's the part most people don't realize. Bins don't make decisions easier. They make the clutter look polite. One client had over 40 bins stacked in her basement. All labeled. All closed. And not one had been opened in 5 years. She wasn't organizing her life. She was trapping her own peace inside layers of plastic. That's why Glennice stopped buying storage bins completely. She only works with what's visible, reachable, and useful. Because if something needs to be hidden for you to tolerate it, it might be something you don't truly want or need anymore. So if you find yourself buying another bin because the last one is full, pause. Ask yourself, am I organizing, or am I postponing? Because clutter doesn't start with chaos. It often starts with the decision to hide something instead of face it. And that's a habit you can stop before it stacks up. Item 2. Clever organizing gadgets. You've probably seen them, those life-changing drawer inserts, rotating racks, cable holders, lid sorters, multi-level shelf risers, and color-coded containers with specialized compartments. The ones that promise to make your home look like a magazine spread or a home shopping channel segment. They're marketed as the solution. A smarter way to tidy up. But Glenice Farrow, after years of working inside real homes of real seniors, no longer buys into that illusion. Because most of these gadgets don't eliminate clutter. They decorate it. Here's the secret no one selling organizing products wants to admit. The more gadgets you own to manage your stuff, the more time and space you're giving to the stuff, not your life. Glennice once had a client who bought a spinning organizer for her kitchen oils, a divided tray for her vitamins, and 3 separate racks for canned goods. But even after organizing, the space still felt heavy. When Glennice asked which of the items the woman actually used daily, it was less than half. That's when it hit both of them. It wasn't about finding a better system. It was about asking a better question. Why am I managing so much that I don't even use? Seniors are especially vulnerable to these kinds of products because they appear helpful without requiring a big commitment. But over time, they create silent clutter. Not on the floor, but in the background. In the drawers you open every day, in the cabinets that overflow, in the daily frustration of reaching past tools meant to make things easier, but don't. Glennice now follows one simple principle. If something needs a gadget to make it fit, maybe it doesn't fit your life anymore. Instead of investing in systems to store, stack, and separate everything, she now helps clients invest in less. Because true clarity doesn't come from another container. It comes from finally deciding what matters enough to stay, without needing to be organized to death. So the next time you see a product that promises quick organizing, ask yourself, is this helping me simplify, or is it helping me keep more than I need? That question can be more freeing than any rack, tray, or tool ever sold. Item 3. Bulk deals and multipacks. At first glance, it feels smart, economical even. Buy more now, save time later. A 12-pack of paper towels. 3 bottles of shampoo bundled together. A warehouse-sized box of granola bars. It sounds responsible. But Glennice Farrow has learned that, for many seniors, bulk deals don't solve problems. They quietly create a new kind of stress. When she began organizing homes professionally, Glennice noticed something strange. Homes that looked clean on the surface still had cabinets that bulged. Pantries lined with multiples. Closets packed with just-in-case refills. Garage shelves holding entire rows of body wash, mouthwash, and laundry pods. And almost every one of those clients had the same reason. It was on sale. Or worse. It felt like the right thing to do. But here's the truth Glennice now teaches. Bulk deals aren't tailored for individuals or small households. They're designed for businesses, big families, and consumption on a scale that no longer fits the rhythm of life after 60. They fill shelves, not lives. And for seniors, the cost isn't just in money, it's in space. Every extra bottle takes up room in a cabinet that now becomes harder to reach. Every oversized pack means bending, lifting, digging. The more you have, the more you manage. And the more you manage, the more exhausting your home quietly becomes. One of Glennice's clients had 14 cans of soup, 8 boxes of tissues, and 2 Costco-sized jars of peanut butter in her kitchen. She lived alone. She didn't even eat soup. But she felt secure having it. The problem wasn't waste, it was weight. Not physical weight, but mental. Because clutter isn't always emotional. Sometimes it's just excess. Now, Glennice shops in singles and pairs. What she needs now, not what she might possibly need 3 months from now. Because overbuying for the future often robs peace in the present. So the next time you reach for that tempting deal, pause. Ask yourself, am I buying this because it fits my life, or just because it fits my cart? Sometimes, living lighter means buying smaller, on purpose. Item 4. Seasonal decor for every holiday. There was a time when decorating for every holiday felt joyful. A small ceramic bunny in spring. Red, white, and blue tablecloths in July. Pumpkin-themed towels in October. Wreaths, flags, garlands, signs, each tucked away in labeled bins, waiting for their turn. But Glenice Farrow, after working in dozens of homes over the years, saw something shift. What used to be a meaningful tradition began to feel like a chore. The effort of pulling out boxes, swapping out items, climbing ladders, and remembering where everything went. It started weighing heavier than the decorations themselves. For many seniors, it's not the decor that's the problem, it's the expectation. The unspoken pressure to keep up appearances. To recreate the magic of earlier decades. Even when the pace of life, and the energy it takes, has changed. Glennice met one client, a widow in her 70s, who still kept 4 full bins marked Christmas, formal. Even though she hadn't hosted a holiday dinner in 8 years. Another kept a massive plastic pumpkin for Halloween in the garage, one that required a second person to move. Because her grandkids used to love it. Now they were in college. Seasonal decor has a way of holding emotional weight. It represents memories, traditions, and love. But it also holds dust, demands space, and slowly clutters our energy. Glennice no longer buys seasonal items unless they meet one clear rule. If it doesn't bring instant, simple joy, it doesn't come home. She keeps 1 winter wreath instead of 4. A single vase with red tulips for spring instead of a bin full of themed napkins. She doesn't stop celebrating. She just stops over-preparing. Because for many seniors, the true peace of the season isn't in the decorations. It's in the freedom not to have to unpack them. Glennice encourages clients to keep only what they can set up and put away in under 15 minutes. Without bending, balancing, or borrowing help. It's not about giving up joy. It's about redefining it for this chapter of life. So before buying another seasonal dish towel or porch sign, ask yourself, is this something I'll love enough to lift, clean, and store? If not, maybe the season doesn't need more decorations. Maybe it just needs more presence. Item 5. Duplicate kitchen tools. You open the kitchen drawer looking for a spatula. But instead, you find 3. 2 ladles, for wooden spoons, a second can opener, and maybe even that potato peeler you forgot you had. Glennice Farrow has seen it all. As a professional organizer for seniors, she's come to expect it. Kitchens filled with backups. Multiples. Extras just in case. It seems harmless at first. After all, kitchen tools are small. But over time, duplicates become more than just clutter, they become noise. And Glennice has learned that in a quiet, well-functioning kitchen, every tool should earn its space. But duplicates? They crowd out clarity. She once worked with a man who had 5 bottle openers. When she gently asked why, he smiled and shrugged. One was my late wife's. One came in a gift set. One was magnetic. The other 2? I don't even know. He wasn't wrong to keep them. But he also hadn't used more than one in years. The problem isn't sentiment, it's decision fatigue. When you're faced with 3 versions of the same thing, you're forced to think through what should have been simple. Which one works best? Which one is clean? Where does each one belong? This constant sorting wears you down, especially after 60, when your kitchen should serve you, not the other way around. Glennice encourages her clients to imagine the kitchen as a workbench. You wouldn't keep 3 hammers if one does the job well. You wouldn't store 4 identical flashlights. So why hold on to the extras that never leave the drawer? Now, she only keeps the version she uses and loves. 1 reliable spatula. 1 easy-to-grip peeler. 1 set of measuring cups. Not because she's being strict, but because she values ease. The duplicates didn't make her feel more prepared. They made her feel more burdened. So here's the simple check Glennice uses with her clients. If you had to cook dinner tonight, which version would you reach for first? That's the keeper. The rest? They're just in the way. Letting go of extras doesn't mean you're unprepared. It means you trust yourself to live with enough. Item 6. Storage furniture with hidden compartments. On the surface, it sounds like the perfect solution. a bench that holds blankets, an ottoman that hides remotes, puzzles, or paperwork, a coffee table with drawers that slide open like secret compartments. For years, Glenice Farrow recommended pieces like these to her clients. They offered extra storage without taking up extra space. A win-win, or so she thought. But after organizing home after home, she began to notice a pattern. The very furniture designed to simplify was quietly doing the opposite. These hidden spaces became dumping grounds. Not for things with purpose, but for things without a home. Unfinished projects. Random chords. Mail waiting for a reply. Out-of-season decor no one wanted to look at but couldn't let go. Over time, Glennice realized. Furniture that stores your clutter doesn't solve your clutter. It just makes it easier to avoid. She met one woman in her 70s who had a beautiful tufted ottoman with a lift-top lid. Inside were items from 3 Christmases ago, a bag of expired coupons, and a box of VHS tapes she no longer owned a player for. The woman laughed and said, "I forgot this was even in here." That's when Glennice started asking a new question during her home visits. When was the last time you opened this, on purpose? Not out of guilt. Not out of desperation. But out of actual need? The answer was almost always the same. I don't remember. Now, Glennice avoids storage furniture altogether unless it serves a daily, intentional purpose. She prefers open shelves over hidden cubbies. Simple hooks over hidden drawers. Because if something needs to be buried to be tolerated, it might not belong in your home to begin with. It's not about having less furniture. It's about having fewer places for confusion to hide. So if you find yourself drawn to a piece of furniture because it has storage, pause. Ask, what am I planning to put in there? And more importantly, why do I still have it? Because when everything in your home has a clear place, you spend less time searching, storing, and stressing, and more time living in a space that actually feels like yours. Item 7. Sentimental hobby supplies. Glennice once walked into a home where the guest room wasn't a guest room at all, it was a quiet museum of someday. Paintbrushes never dipped in paint. A dusty sewing machine still threaded from a project left unfinished. Baskets of yarn, unopened cross-stitch kits, stacks of scrapbooking paper still wrapped in plastic. The woman who lived there was warm, capable, and full of stories. But when asked about the room, she hesitated. "Oh, that's for when I get back into it." Glennice nodded. She had heard that before. Many times. In her work with older adults, sentimental hobby supplies are one of the hardest categories to confront. Not because they are clutter in the traditional sense, but because they carry hope. They represent a version of you that once existed, or that you wish would return. The quilter you used to be. The painter you always wanted to become. The photographer, the jewelry maker, the violin player. But there's a cost to keeping these supplies around just in case. They take up physical space in closets, drawers, or entire rooms. But more than that, they take up mental space. Every time you walk past them, you feel it. The quiet guilt of unused potential. The nudge of, I really should get back to that. The whisper of, why haven't I? Glennice gently challenges her clients with this question. Are you keeping the supplies because you love the hobby, or because you love who you were when you loved it? Sometimes, letting go of the hobby supplies doesn't mean giving up on joy. It means updating the picture of what joy looks like now. Glennice once helped a client donate 2 entire bins of card-making supplies she hadn't touched in years. They went to a senior center where they were used weekly. The woman kept one small pouch of her favorite pens. That was it. And her guest room became just that, a room for guests, light and usable again. You don't need to prove who you were by holding on to things you no longer use. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to say, that was a part of me, and I'm grateful for it. And still make space for the person you are today. So before buying another ball of yarn, another how-to kit, another tool for a project you haven't started, ask yourself, is this for me now, or for who I was then? Because your home should hold your life, not your unfinished expectations. Item 8. Guest-only extras. It starts with the best intentions. An extra set of towels in case someone visits. A spare toothbrush just in case. A foldable bed tucked into the back room. Children's books, puzzles, and toys saved for grandkids who might stop by during the holidays. But Glenice Farrow has seen it time and time again. Guest-only items meant to create hospitality slowly become silent intruders in your everyday space. One client she worked with had an entire bathroom cabinet dedicated to hotel-sized toiletries for guests. But she hadn't hosted anyone overnight in 3 years. The cabinet stayed full, and her own essentials had nowhere to go. In another home, Glennice found a linen closet bursting with mismatched sheets and comforters, all kept for visiting family. But when Glennice asked, "When did someone last sleep over?" the answer was soft, "I think it was before the pandemic." Here's the quiet truth Glennice has learned after years of helping seniors organize their homes. You don't need to sacrifice your peace for potential guests. It's natural to want people to feel welcome. But when making room for others means crowding out your own comfort, you're living for what might happen, while struggling with what is. Glennice now encourages her clients to rethink what hospitality really means. It's not about storing a backup of everything. It's about creating a warm, open environment where guests can share space, not tiptoe around stockpiled supplies. If someone visits, a spare towel can be pulled from your regular set. A cup can be washed. Kids can be entertained with simple items on hand or borrowed from neighbors. Instead of keeping a whole shelf of kid toys, Glennice keeps a single box, easy to pull out, easy to put away. Instead of holding onto 2 extra pillows for maybe someday, she keeps one, because it's enough. The real gift to your guests isn't the perfectly stocked drawer. It's the freedom of being with someone who feels at ease in their own space. So before you add another extra just in case, ask yourself, is this helping someone else feel welcome? Or is it quietly making me feel crowded? Because when your home breathes, you do too. And chances are, your guests will feel it the moment they walk in. Item 9. Decorative containers and catchalls. They are beautiful. A hand-woven basket on the coffee table. A ceramic dish on the kitchen counter. A lidded box in the entryway. All carefully chosen to match your style and make your space look clean. But Glennice Farrow, after organizing hundreds of homes, has learned a hard truth. What looks neat on the outside can still be chaos on the inside. These containers don't always organize, they mask. They give the illusion that everything is under control, when in reality, they're just holding everything you didn't want to deal with in the moment. She once worked with a woman who had 3 matching bins lined up along her hallway table. They looked elegant and intentional. But inside? Expired coupons, broken pens, old keys, receipts, tangled cords, takeout menus from restaurants that had closed. The bins weren't clutter solutions, they were clutter silos. Glennice calls these catchalls clutter composters. Because what goes in rarely comes out. And over time, it builds a quiet mess that no one sees but you feel every day. Especially after 60, when clarity and ease matter more than ever. These pretty distractions start working against you. You forget what's in them. You lose track of things. You end up rebuying items you already have, buried at the bottom of the basket. That's why Glennice no longer buys decorative containers unless they serve a specific, daily purpose. And stay transparent, open, or visible. No lids. No mystery. No hiding. One of her favorite tricks with clients is the dump test. Take a container you haven't opened in weeks, dump its contents on the table, and ask, "Do I need this? Did I even remember it was here?" If the answer is no, the container isn't helping you stay organized. It's just helping you delay decisions. Glennice encourages people to replace catchalls with clear zones. If something doesn't have a home, you either create one, or ask if it truly needs to stay. Because the more your containers hide, the more you forget. And forgetfulness leads straight back to frustration. So the next time you see a beautiful basket or storage tray, pause. Ask yourself, am I buying this to organize, or to disguise? Because true clarity isn't about how tidy it looks. It's about how light it feels when you live in it. Item 10. Solutions to problems she doesn't have. The label says Easy Grip. The box says senior friendly. The commercial swears it will change your daily routine. And at first, it's tempting. The pill organizer with 28 compartments. The hands-free jar opener that lives under the cabinet. The talking clock. The meal portioner. The electronic magnifier. Each item feels like it might solve something, someday. But Glenice Farrow has learned it, after years of helping seniors sort through cluttered drawers and unopened boxes, that buying a solution before there's a real problem doesn't make life easier. It makes it heavier. She calls them pre-clutter purchases. Items bought out of fear, future-proofing, or assumption. And they often bring the opposite of what they promise. Instead of clarity, confusion. Instead of convenience, guilt. Because when the item doesn't fit your actual need, or ends up being harder to use than expected, it quietly gets tucked away. And every time you see it again, you feel a small tug. Why haven't I used that yet? Maybe I should figure it out. I guess I wasted my money. Glennice once helped a client clear out a drawer filled with unused gadgets still in their original packaging. Each one designed to make life simpler. But they only made her feel overwhelmed. There was a magnifier with instructions too small to read. A remote with 48 buttons. A meal prep system for a person who rarely cooked. That drawer wasn't full of tools. It was full of pressure. Now, Glennice has a new rule she shares with every client. Don't buy a solution until the problem shows up more than once. And when it does, choose the simplest fix possible. Most of the time, real needs are solved with what you already have. Or something far less complicated than the packaging makes you believe. So if you find yourself reaching for another just-in-case item at the store, pause. Ask yourself, is this solving a problem I face daily? Or one I'm being told I might have eventually? Because life after 60 isn't about preparing for every possible scenario. It's about making room to enjoy what's actually here, without all the noise of things you don't need yet, or ever. This video wasn't about organizing tips. It wasn't about products or perfect systems. It was about something deeper, something quieter. A different way to live. Because after 60, what most people crave isn't more storage. It's more space. More ease. More clarity. And that starts, not with sorting what's already there, but with stopping what doesn't belong from ever coming in. These 10 items may seem small on their own. But over time, they take up more than just square footage. They fill drawers you stop opening, rooms you stop using, and thoughts you carry with you longer than you realize. This isn't about guilt. It's about permission. To say, I don't need to keep buying for the person I used to be. I don't need to hold on to things for guests who rarely come. I don't need to be ready for every possible scenario. I just need a home that feels like mine. A home where I can breathe. So if even one of these 10 items is quietly weighing on your peace, consider this your invitation to let it go. Or better yet, to not replace it at all. And if you felt seen in this video, hit the like button to help others find it too. Share in the comments which item you're finally ready to stop letting in. And subscribe to Wise Aging Seniors for more honest, practical guidance built for the life you're living now. Not the one marketers are trying to sell you. Because a lighter life doesn't begin when you clean the mess. It begins when you stop letting the mess in.